Hello, denizens. I'm going to go through Jessie Gender's unbiased review of Matt Walsh's Am I Racist, as it's a master class in disingenuity. I just made up that word. Jessie is a self-ascribed trans person. I will give Jessie props for going full gelding. If you sample Jessie's videos, you'll notice they are reasonably entertaining, if not suffuse, with the standard leftist gender ideology, along with the usual anti-Semitic trans for terrorists derangement. I guess this is why there is a giant asterisk after unbiased. Jessie could argue that I'm just as biased, perhaps, but I'm not afraid to call out my own shortcomings, nor am I part of a cosplaying cult that will excommunicate me for saying something unmutual. As I say on my appalling news channel, men make the best women. Let's dive in.
Can't know the reason why the Daily Wire attempted to block my film, but more than likely it was them abusing YouTube's copyright system.
Starts off with attacking the Daily Wire with incomplete information. You know very well that fair use is restricted to 8-second clips in YouTube, but by not conveying this fact, you wrongly accuse the Daily Wire of doing something perfectly in their right to do. You accused Daily Wire of abusing the copyright system. That's trans straw womaning without evidence. Good for you. Notice I have used only a maximum of 8-second clips from your video. I should add that I don't spend much time watching Matt or the Daily Wire.
Matt Walsh is currently, for Am I a Racist, decrying the fact that critics are afraid of reviewing his film, when in actuality most of them just probably don't give a shit about his film.
Don't give a shit? And how do you know that? Then you go on to accuse the Daily Wire of all sorts of things that really has nothing to do with the movie, but then again, why not? Wait. Didn't I accuse you of all sorts of things off the top of this video that have nothing to do with your review of Am I Racist? I feel so dirty.
This is going to be, for those of you who may be from Matt Walsh's audience out there, as objective a review as I possibly can give.
Glad you're setting aside your feelings towards Matt Walsh and the Daily Wire, which you just spent the first 4 minutes vilifying. Yes, we believe you.
So there's a couple lenses that I want to look at Am I a Racist through.
Uh-oh, lenses. Academic word salad alert.
Pretty much everyone in the room when he does this thinks he's just a weirdo, because he is.
Pretty much, but not so weird as to believe he's not one of them. He takes them to the edge and they happily follow. This is an important point your unbiased review missed.
In fact, many times in the film, you'll see people actually recognize that it is Matt Walsh and quickly kick him out.
No, not many times, just once. He was only outed once, and not that quickly, and he wasn't even in disguise at the time. The group's sad bleatings of being violated by his mere presence probably fits nicely with your victimology. At least in the footage shown after the first incident, he was never outed again.
Whereas Matt Walsh has no understanding of any of the people that he's attempting to parody. He's just going off of his own stereotype of these people.
Seriously? How hard is it to parody a group of people who are willing to self-flagellate into orgiastic fervor over the guilt they feel about being white? Matt is completely capable of observing the inanity of this situation, hence the genesis of this project. These are not nuclear physicists Matt is trying to get chummy with. They are white women who clap wildly and well up with tears when a woman of color tells them America is the most racist and evil country in the world and they are the worst examples of that racism. They are not hard to parody, and neither are you, for that matter. Come on, your fake incredulity is strained at best.
It falls flat and makes very clear that this film is not actually about exposing hypocrisy, but playing to his audience.
At no other time did anyone out Matt, so this is completely wrong. You're projecting. It certainly fell flat at the showing I was at, where everyone was howling with laughter. As far as playing to his audience, isn't that what movies are supposed to do? Isn't that what you do?
But to anyone who actually understands the points or any of the things that Matt Walsh is trying to say, it's very clear that he's full of shit.
How was it clear? You offered no specific example other than he might convince people who already agree with him. I think it will give pause to organizations that spend money virtue signaling from hiring these race grifters through any objective lens. You should be able to see the grift that Matt had revealed, clumsily or not.
Insofar as the very clearly manipulative editing that the film partakes in.
What manipulative editing? Matt asked questions and people were left to their own devices to answer them.
There are many moments where you can clearly see that Matt Walsh is taking clips of people out of context, not actually allowing them to make their actual points.
That is an out-and-out lie.
The fact that this movie is supposedly talking about racism, and yet Matt Walsh barely talks to any people of color throughout the film.
Apparently, he didn't talk to enough black people. He does one really good interview with a person from Haiti, I believe, who loved America, which most leftists don't. Still, the title of the movie is Am I Racist? As in, is Matt Walsh racist? With all us other whiteys reflecting on the same question by extension. So asking white people what they think of racism makes more sense than going up to black people and asking them if they think white people are racist. That's a whole different movie. In that case, it would have made more sense to ask if black people were racist against whites, but that would have freaked you out. Once again, Jessie is being disingenuous here.
He has a few token interviews of black people throughout the film, but they feel like they're mostly just there so that Matt Walsh can say, like, hey, I included a few black people, look at my black friends, I can't be racist, huh?
Really? You're gonna go there? Weak.
All leading to his main point that the racial sensitivity industry is a scam, which he's actually correct about. There are tons of people, such as Robin DiAngelo, who profit off of selling things like racial sensitivity courses to companies.
Props to Jessie for understanding the point of the film. Jessie even piles on Robin DiAngelo. See, a straight white male has no problem agreeing with a surgically altered man.
Which could have easily been done if he at any point talked to numerous actual earnest activists around this country.
Did you just say earnest activists? Isn't that like saying Antifa is a babysitting service? Earnestness is the delusion the left hang on to as they cancel anyone they disagree with, label reasonable people with opposing opinions after a failed Austrian painter, march in the streets conflating a tiny local minority with a war 10,000 miles away. Activists do not want to have discussions with people outside of their bubble, as demonstrated by the movie.
Fighting for legislative reform, or more left-leaning activists like I find myself personally more drawn to, who have larger systemic goals for fighting racism.
And bingo! Systemic goals for fighting racism is exactly the nonsense this movie pushes back against. People who promote systemic anything believe things are worse now than 50 years ago, don't acknowledge progress because their business requires them to find grief where none exists. To quote one of the interviewees in the movie, the demand for racism outstrips the supply.
You say, basically, to his audience, well, it's all just a facade. No need to worry about racism in this country. It's all a scam to make you feel bad.
Making people who are clearly not racist and getting them to pay just so you can tell them they are racist is a scam, but it's a free country. If you want to wear a hair shirt, go ahead. I would hate to be a kid living with any of these broken people. Jessie goes off complaining about the shallowness of Robin DiAngelo's book, kind of agreeing with the movie, because to Jessie, the indoctrinated, DiAngelo's book is not communist enough. It doesn't mention systemic racism and reparations enough for Jessie.
And was hoping for a documentary that would honestly explore some of these issues.
Sure, you're disappointed. I am too, because you spent the last 4 minutes of your review just as filler, repeating systemic racism a whole crapload of times and telling us it wasn't the movie you wanted to see. If only it was the 4-hour-long documentary with a dissertation on Birth of a Nation that you wanted. This is an utterly dishonest review because the movie never promoted itself going where you wanted it to go. Go make your own movie. Let me finish off by saying Jessie does not come across as someone I couldn't have a reasonable conversation with. Till next time, denizens, be seeing you.